I didn't have a demographic target in mind. When I got my cover, I love my cover. I love Adam Craig, who works at Cinnamon Press, designed this cover. I adore the image. I love the font. I love everything about it. I didn't like that my name was italicized. I don't know why. I'm still not crazy about my name being italicized. But I talked to Carolyn with her marketing background, and she said, "Will your readers be women?" Probably, don't know. And she said, "That's why it's italicized, because that's appealing to women," which I don't know. But yes, I think probably my target is mostly women, but it's not something I set out consciously thinking about. I did a talk at a primary school recently, and it turns out that the primary year 6 children are really into thrillers. And they said, "Oh, we want to read it." And I said, "You can't read this book." And they said, "What if our parents read it to us?" I said, "I just talk to your parents." So, I wasn't aiming for a 10-year-old market, definitely. So. I think she questions herself a lot, that I do. There's definitely some experiences as a woman with a PhD that I share with Max. Not very much. She's much braver than I am. Max doesn't have my accent because Max grew up in New York, so she definitely doesn't sound like me. John Knox is from my hometown, so he sounds more or less like me, I think. I almost always write scenes with dialogue first, and I hear the dialogue, but I don't necessarily hear an accent with it, I don't think. That's an interesting question.
I wasn't just thinking about the dialogue, I was sort of thinking about the rest of the writing.
No, I don't.
You don't hear a voice?
No, I don't hear a voice. One of the things that I've looked into is whether or not you can do an audiobook, and there's so many different ways to do an audiobook, but I would very much want an American accent to read it. They were partly an influence. I also really like the novels of Philip Kerr, which are thrillers. They're not like these, they're much prettier and really, really, really dark. But yes, I think there is a sense of that kind of ordinary people, bad things happen, yeah. I would love to have filmmakers personally, no one has offered.
QH whatever films and get in there quickly, I think, because I think this sounds really appealing.
Thank you. I think the thing that helped me stick with this is that I really liked the character of Max once I created her. I really liked the interactions she has with John Knox, and to me, I wanted to finish the conversation that they have. I wanted to continue with it because it's something that one of the things I often wonder about is people who don't write, what do they think about all the time? But I don't mean, because I feel like I'm constantly having a conversation with somebody else in my head. And sometimes my husband will say, "What are you doing?" I'm thinking, I'm not in this room really. And the other thing I think is absolutely essential is to carve out the time where you can write. So one of the things I did several years ago was I stopped reading free newspapers on the train. I stopped reading on the train and I started writing on the train because I have a half-hour commute going north, so I'm against traffic. I always have a seat. And I started writing on the train, and that's how I wrote a huge amount of this book in half-hour chunks on my phone as I was commuting. Because I have a 4-year-old, it's impossible for me to find the huge chunks of time I used to have to write by longhand and sit in certain seats and have everything just so. I just write when I can. And I think that having the pressures of having a family and things to do has actually helped me be a more productive writer. When I started doing this, I didn't have a laptop, I had a desktop. I had an iPad, but I find iPad type the keyboard really tricky to write quickly. And the Thames Lake trains don't have tables usually. So I use Pages on an iPhone and I just type. I don't like the new upgrade though, because the predictive text is terrible. It always capitalizes new and train, which I find very frustrating. But no, I just started writing on my phone and it worked. It's very good for creating a scene where I do dialogue, and I don't even do quotation marks, I just write it in. But now I edit on the phone as well, it means I always have it. So it's just quite easy. I do save it on a hard drive as well, so it's not just in the cloud, that's really important. And I edit and write on the full screen. I wouldn't ever say something's finished till I looked at it on a proper computer. But it's the only way I can write on the train, and that's an hour a day I have. That's otherwise I don't do
I
anything.
do it being so intense as well. Like it's,
Mm. I know where the series ends. I know where each book ends. I'm still working out some of the details for the third book and quite a lot of the details for the fourth book. But when I started it, I saw it as one novel, but I realized as I did my research, there's quite an interesting thing that happens in April 1953 that I wanted to write towards. And it's a historical fact that I want to use. But it changes the series quite dramatically if I tell you what it is, so I'm not going to tell you. So that's always been a point that I'm working towards. It was read recently by a reading group, and and it was led by somebody I knew, so she was texting me questions while they were having a discussion. And they asked if, and I told her it was going to be a series, and they asked if the other books would also be about Max. And I couldn't imagine, I mean, it's a fair question, but I couldn't imagine switching characters at this point. It's completely her story. Thank you very much. I really appreciate everyone coming. It's so lovely to see lots of alumni and students and colleagues. It's fantastic. So thank you very much for coming along.